The Equestrian Intelligence Agency. Written by Admiral Biscuit. Lyra paused outside the heavy wooden door. Getting summoned to the office of the Captain of Equestrian Guard was never good, especially after the recent incident with the changelings. She ran a hoof through her mane to make sure it was in place, wishing she'd brought a mirror. Oh well, she thought. If wishes were wings, unicorns would fly. She knocked lightly. Shining Armor magicked the door open and nodded his head politely. Lyra took a quick glance around his office. It was pretty much unchanged from the last time she'd been in here. The walls were in need of another coat of whitewash, and the desk was slightly more dilapidated. The piles of papers scattered across the surface had gotten deeper, and the lines on Shining Armor's face seemed more pronounced. Lyra assumed he was still dealing with the aftermath of the changeling invasion. Even though Princess Celestia said that it was no pony's fault, Shining Armor felt personally responsible. After all, it was his shield that was supposed to have protected Canterlot, and it collapsed. "Lyra," Shining Armor said, "have a seat." He motioned to the repurposed garden bench that was shoved against the wall. He frowned at her posture as she sat with her back against the backrest, her hind legs swinging free, but said nothing. "Am I correct in assuming that this is about the changeling incident, boss?" "You are." He looked Lyra directly in the eye. "There were some significant lapses in our security. I don't need to remind you that Princess Cadence was entrapped in crystal caverns under the castle, followed by Twilight Sparkle. Princess Celestia was overpowered in front of all the wedding guests and put into a cocoon, and the bears of the elements of harmony were captured by the changeling hive, to say nothing of all the other ponies injured or confined during the attack. Unfortunately, this incident has caused me to perform a very thorough review of our security procedures, and I must say, some of what I find in your file makes me question your fitness for your post." Lyra's eyes widened. For 5 years, she had been the Equestrian Intelligence Agency's agent in place in Ponyville. She had simply been another background pony, hardly noticed in the bustle of daily life. More recently, she'd been tasked to keep an eye on Twilight Sparkle as a personal favour to Shining Armor. Fortunately, her magic had enabled her to go places most other unicorns could not, such as Clydesdale. "During the parasite infestation," Shining stated, as he read her file, "instead of immediately reporting the event to your superiors, you cried." He looked up, expecting a response. "It was Bonbon's birthday! We did a nice quiet lunch together, and before I could even eat one bite of the cake I got for her, it was devoured by a parasite. The day had been going so well before they showed up. They were horrible. No pony could have stopped them." "Pinkie Pie led them off," he reminded her. "You should have had parasite management lessons during your basic training. For Luna's sake, you're even nominally a musician!" He turned back to her file. "Let's see. An incident with an Ursa Minor. Well, your report on that was timely and concise. And I suppose no pony can be blamed for the imbecile actions of a couple of foals. Building collapses, hot air balloon failure, runaway baby carriage, sleeping dragon, nightmare moon, love poison. A possible plot by the CMC to subvert educational and agricultural system." "I didn't know it was a bunch of fillies!" Lyra wailed. "I thought that so-called Cutie Mark Crusaders were an underground group. Who would have thought that 3 foals could cause that much damage? Berry Punch's house got dragged off its foundation and the Carousel Boutique had serious damage to the facade. It's only gotten worse since then. You can't even imagine what they do with fireworks." Shining Armor looked her in the eyes. "Lyra, your reports are well thought out and concise. Well, maybe not the one about the Cutie Mark Crusaders. And you have an eye for detail that most ponies don't. But you don't strike me as a mare of action, and are perhaps out of your depth in the field. Furthermore, after the instance of the changelings, I have to make some changes in the department. Princess Celestia hasn't said anything, but how embarrassed do you think I feel having an EIA agent not only fail to discover Queen Chrysalis's plot, but to be brainwashed by her into turning, well, evil? You actively campaigned against my sister and my wife. Lyra almost foolishly said, "She wasn't your wife yet." But the words died before they could be spoken. She hung her head in shame. "I understand, Shining. I have failed you and the EIA. Rather than suffer the indignity of being fired, I'll resign." Shining held up his hoof. "Hold on there, Lyra. I was not saying that I wish to terminate your employment. Even though there have been some regrettable incidents, your reports have always been informative. Nay, I would rather, lately, promote you to, reporting agent." Lyra broke into a smile. "I can keep the house with Bonbon?" She frowned. "Wait, if I'm not a field agent anymore, who is? Do you have some pony in mind?" "I do." He shuffled through some files on the desk. "In fact, we are planning on employing more agents in Ponyville area. It seems that with the bearers of the elements of harmony living there, more, discord has been happening. Plus it's close to the Everfree Forest, and that's always been a problem area." He found a file he was looking for, and held it up. "These are 3 Earth ponies who have applied for the job. Perhaps you know them. Roseluck, Daisy, and Lily." Lyra almost managed not to laugh.
We here at Pony&Wolf Productions thank these amazing patrons of ours for their monthly support, without which all of this would not be possible. We sincerely appreciate it, and every dollar helps, is needed, and will be used to keep us going to produce audiobooks for your continued enjoyment. It is, now more than ever, important that you support your favorite creators if possible, due to YouTube changing in a way that is not very friendly to content creators. Especially small content creators, like us. In recent months, the names you see on screen have enabled Midnight and Visual Pony to keep going and only having to sell off part of their belongings to not end up on the street. As an incentive for everyone, Visual Pony has broken a vow and has promised to read and record Fallout Equestria, Murky number 7, should the monthly support reach $1,500. To be clear, this is the absolute minimum amount needed to keep the apartment and all bills paid without starving, while a production of this size is ongoing. The estimated time for this production would be 3 to 4 years, but people already said that Project Horizons was impossible to do, right? And now look who did it, so with Pony&Wolf, you know we can finish the job. For further information on how to support us, please have a look at the description of this video, as there are also other ways, like our merch store. Sincerely and forever yours, your Pony&Wolf team.